back again with another video. And this morning here in New York, we're going to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell and what's next for her. So if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon. Good morning, folks, here from New York City. My name is DutyRon, retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years in law enforcement. And today we're going to talk about the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell, the British socialite who was Madam Pimp and all of the above involved in the Jeffrey Epstein saga. And I want to say a special thank you to all my Patreon supporters, my channel members, and all the people who support the DutyRon channel through your support with positive comments in the comment section down below, by sharing the video, by also telling your friends about this channel and this space. Thank you to Dave in Osaka, all the way from Osaka, Japan, and Gemma Journey Grace from the UK, channel member and a great, great friend. Thank you to everyone who is coming on in. Michael Carbone, great to see you. Firm Hyena, thank you so much. Hyena, thank you so much for coming in. Jeep Girl, all the great ones are piling on in. Thank you, Little Dove, all my moderators. Thank you so much for being here in on the live stream. Guys, we got a lot of information to get out to you today, and I apologize for not going live last night. We had a couple of things go on here. And fatigue set in, so I didn't feel I was going to be able to give you what you guys wanted. Here is a high energy broadcast. Meglo, great to see you. Thank you for being in here. And I appreciate Tani here for being in. Hello, Sage Camera. Good to see you. There's AJ. There's AJ. That's the man. Sage Camera, everybody in the building. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you being in here. So guys, yesterday, Ghislaine Maxwell arrested at 8:30 a.m. New York time on the East Coast. She was brought into justice by the FBI about a year ago, 11 months ago. I made a broadcast. We talked about the long arm of the law being able to reach out and grab these heinous criminals. She is the lowest of the low, involved with procuring young underage girls and also engaging in sexual activity with these girls. And those charges are not even in this federal indictment as of yet. We may see those charges being added on to these current charges. So I know we have a lot of questions. Hello, Brooklyn, New York. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hello, Lisa Kleckner. Thank you for being here. Lisa Mitchell, Linda Jackson, Frog Push Eye on Weather. Good to see you, Froggy. Thank you so much. Blessings right back to you, Aaron. Thank you, Mimi. Lisa Mitchell and Sasha Johnson, all in the building. So let's get right into it. Let's watch. I know most of you have seen this, but some people from outside the country may not have seen this. But let's watch the news conference on Ghislaine Maxwell being taken into custody. Let's check that out. Thank you, Gemma, for the super love. Appreciate the super chat. Dave in Osaka coming on in with some super chat there from Osaka, Japan. Great to see you, Dave. Everybody, if you're not subscribed to Dave in Osaka, he's got a great channel from all the way over in Japan. He is from Canada, but he has been living in Osaka, Japan for quite a long time. Rich Poggi, good to see you. How are you? Great to see you from Australia. Long time no see. Kyle, thank you so much. Love and respect right back to you. Hi, John Smith, good friend of mine from up in Albany, New York. Thank you for joining. It's okay. I got you, Lisa. I'm with you. All right, here we go. Let's go right into it. Let's jump into it, folks. This is the press conference from yesterday from the FBI. And I want to just a special shout out to my NYPD brothers in blue. The NYPD was working with the FBI to take Ghislaine Maxwell into custody. So there is my NYPD coffee mug. It's available in my merch store. So guys, if you want to go over to the Streamlabs merch store, just check it out. You can pick up one of these mugs in the merch store. So thank you to everyone who supports the stream. All right, here we go with the news conference.
Good morning. My name is Audrey Strauss. I'm the acting United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Today we announce charges against Ghislaine Maxwell for helping Jeffrey Epstein sexually exploit and abuse multiple minor girls from the period of 1994 through 1997. Maxwell has been taken into custody early this morning in New Hampshire and will be presented this afternoon before a magistrate judge in the District of New Hampshire. You'll recall that the indictment against Jeffrey Epstein that we filed in July of 2019 charged Epstein with sexual abuse of young girls from 2002 through 2005. This case against Ghislaine Maxwell is the prequel to the earlier case that we brought against Jeffrey Epstein. As alleged, starting in 1994 until at least 1997, Maxwell had a personal and professional relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
This was a long, uncomfortable photo op. I felt that this was overkill here. Again, she's the acting prosecutor. President Trump took out the current prosecutor, and she's just filling in. So I don't know what her deal is, but that was a long time. Just saying.
Maxwell was among Epstein's closest associates and helped him exploit girls who were as young as 14 years old. Maxwell played a critical role in helping Epstein to identify, befriend, and groom minor victims for abuse. In some cases, Maxwell participated in the abuse herself. As alleged, Maxwell and Epstein had a method. Typically, they would befriend these young girls by asking them questions about their lives, pretending to be taking an interest in them. They would take them to the movies and treat them to shopping trips. Maxwell would encourage these young girls to accept offers from Epstein to pay for their travel and their education, making these young victims feel indebted to Jeffrey Epstein. After developing a rapport with the victims, Maxwell then tried to normalize sexual abuse with a minor victim through a process known as grooming. For example, Maxwell would discuss sexual topics with the victim and undress in front of the victim, or be present for sex acts involving the minor victims and Epstein. Maxwell's presence as an adult woman helped put the victims at ease. As Maxwell and Epstein intended, this grooming process left the minor victims susceptible to sexual abuse. That abuse included sexualized massages during which the minor victim was fully or partially nude. These sexualized massages developed into sexual encounters for which Maxwell, in some instances, was present and participated. Maxwell and Epstein worked together to entice these minor victims to travel to Epstein's residences, depicted on the other chart at the front of the room. His residence in New York City on the Upper East Side, as well as Palm Beach, Florida, and Santa Fe, New Mexico. Some of the acts of abuse also took place in Maxwell's residence in London, England. In addition to allegedly enabling and participating in the sexual abuse of young victims, Maxwell compounded her crimes by repeatedly lying in 2016 when she was questioned under oath. And we have charged those lies in 2 perjury counts. Maxwell lied because the truth, as alleged, was almost unspeakable. Maxwell enticed minor girls, got them to trust her, then delivered them into the trap that she and Epstein had set for them. She pretended to be a woman they could trust. All the while, she was setting them up to be sexually abused by Epstein and in some cases by Maxwell herself. Today, after many years, Ghislaine Maxwell finally stands charged for her role in these crimes. These charges we announced today are the latest result of our investigation into Epstein and the people around him who facilitated his abuse of minor victims. That investigation remains ongoing. My office and the FBI remain committed to doing all within our ability to bring justice to individuals who enabled, facilitated, and participated in the acts of abuse. Combating the exploitation of children is a priority of our office. We are committed to pursuing and prosecuting those who exploit and abuse minors, in this case, in every case. And to that end, I want to say to anyone who is watching or who hears about this prosecution, if you believe you are a victim of Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, or anyone else who helped them, regardless of when it occurred, or have information about the conduct alleged in the indictment unsealed today, please let us know. You can reach the FBI and have access to victim and witness services by calling us at 1-800-CALL-FBI. To my left is William Sweeney, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's field office. And also to my left is Commissioner Dermot Duche and Chief of Detectives Rodney Harrison. I want to thank them and their teams for their dedication and professionalism in seeing this investigation through to the end. I also want to acknowledge and thank the career prosecutors of my office who are handling the investigation and prosecution of this case. Alex Ross Miller, Maureen Comey, and Allison Moe. I want to also thank their chiefs, Russell Capone and Edward Discant, the chiefs of the Public Corruption Unit. Finally, I want to thank and commend the brave women who are willing to come forward decades after their abuse and tell us what happened to them, without whom these charges could not have been brought today. And we thank them for their courage, and we are proud to stand here on their behalf in bringing this case. I now want to invite up our good friend, Assistant Director Bill Sweeney.
Thank you, Audrey. Almost 1 year ago, when our officers stood before you and announced the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein, I stated that preserving the innocence of children is among the most important responsibilities we carry as adults. Too often, adults in our society have turned a blind eye to the type of criminal behavior that we announced back then and announce again today. The villains in these outrageous crimes are the adult perpetrators, not the youth, who are our neighbors, our students, vulnerable foster children, and teens seeking support. Today, we announced the arrest of one of the villains in this investigation. Early this morning, Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested in Bradford, New Hampshire, by FBI special agents and NYPD detectives from the FBI NYPD Crimes Against Children Task Force. Our team from New York was assisted by special agents assigned to our Boston, Newark, New Haven, and Albany field offices. We've been discreetly keeping tabs on Maxwell's whereabouts as we worked this investigation, and more recently we learned she had slithered away to a gorgeous property in New Hampshire, continuing to live a life of privilege while her victims live with the trauma inflicted upon them years ago. We moved when we were ready, and Ms. Maxwell was arrested without incident. Like Epstein, Ms. Maxwell chose to blatantly disregard the law and her responsibility as an adult, using whatever means she had at her disposal to lure vulnerable youth into behavior they should never have been exposed and which creates lasting harm. We allege that from at least 1994 through at least 1997, Ms. Maxwell assisted Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minor girls by helping to recruit, entice, groom, and abuse children under the age of 18. She befriended the innocent, attempted to normalize sexual abuse, and worked to put victims at ease, aware the entire time of the abuse that would follow. When questioned about her conduct in 2016, we allege Ms. Maxwell lied under oath. I'd like to take a moment again to speak directly to the victims. There never was, nor shall there be, an excuse for the criminal behavior you were subjected to. We know that your quest for justice has been met with great disappointment and that reliving these events is traumatic. When we met you, we told you that in the eyes of the FBI, you come first. I would like to thank you for the trust you place in our investigative teams as we work to hold the adult perpetrators accountable. For the many victims of other adult perpetrators who may be listening or get word of today's announcement, the example set by the women involved in this investigation has been a powerful one. They persevered against the rich and the connected, and they did so without a badge, a gun, or a subpoena, and they stood together. I have no doubt the bravery exhibited by the women in this investigation has empowered others to speak up about the crimes that they have been subjected to. If you are listening today and are the victim of child sex trafficking, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI or contact us online at tips.fbi.gov. If you are an adult who believes a child or a teen is being exploited, or believe a child or a teen has exhibited signs of exploitation, please contact law enforcement. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website is a great resource for information about the indicators of sex trafficking. Take a few minutes to educate yourself. Click on the issues section of that website. Take a moment to learn how to spot the vulnerable and protect them. The website is missingkids.org. Finally, I want to extend my sincere thanks to the task force in New York, the leadership and the prosecutors of the Southern District of New York. You have quietly and professionally executed your mission as public servants, advocating for the most vulnerable in society and holding perpetrators accountable, regardless of their perceived wealth, connections, or the passage of time. Thank you for putting the victims first. I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Shea.
Good afternoon, everyone. Audrey, Bill, thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. And I'll echo really their words. In my view, we are here for one reason today and one reason only, for the victims, for the survivors of these heinous crimes. And I will remind everyone that although we are talking about periods of time 20 or close to 30 years in the past, for the victims, the survivors of these sexual assaults, these crimes are as fresh today and the impact that they caused on their psyche as they were then. I want to take a special moment to thank Chief Rodney Harrison and the men and women of the New York City Police Department that worked on this case hand in hand with Bill Sweeney's special agents. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take questions. We'll take questions.
Audrey, quick question on the investigation. How long had you been...
These questions are low. The audio is low. It's not on my end.
This indictment originally filed. If you could just kind of give us a sense of what it was like to track her at any point. You know, you lost track of her. What was going on over the past couple of weeks and months?
Well, I think that Bill Sweeney has given you a sense of that an eye was being kept and information was being collected, and then the indictment was just recently voted and filed, and that was when we were able and prepared to move to arrest her.
Prince Andrew has been someone who's been, sort of anything in your office. Do you still want to talk to him? Would that be as a witness or as a suspect?
I'm not going to comment on anyone's status in this investigation, but I will say that we would welcome Prince Andrew coming in to talk with us. We would like to have the benefit of his statement.
So his advisor has said that you need to offer an olive branch in order to get things going again. Would you be prepared to do that?
You know, I have no further comment beyond what I just said, which is that our doors remain open, as we've previously said, and we would welcome him coming in and giving us an opportunity to hear his statement. Yes?
Why now? Why a year after arresting Jeffrey Epstein?
We were working hard on this investigation this past year. It's not easy to put together a case that goes back that far, but it was not, there's nothing other than we did the investigation and we were ready at this time to proceed.
Audrey?
How long was she in New Hampshire?
I couldn't hear your question.
How long has she been in New Hampshire?
I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to comment on that.
Where you ultimately arrested her? Was that her home? Was it someone else's home?
And that too, I will not comment on. That's where we found her
Audrey,
this morning.
Okay, they were asking her whose home it was that she was found in, and that's a good question. You know, whose home and why was she there? Does she own it? Was somebody harboring a fugitive? And that's the direction that reporter was going on. That was a good question by a reporter. Hello, Homer Simpson. Thank you, Vincy girl, for being in here. So there's some rumors out there that she did buy that house and that she did own it, but the federal prosecutor here wouldn't answer it. She wouldn't also answer where she's being held for security reasons, for possible breakout or any type of security reasons. We never like to say where a high-profile prisoner is being kept, and given the facts of what happened with Jeffrey Epstein, she's going to be under lock and key, high surveillance, high profile. You can bet your bottom dollar, at least I would, that she's going to be watched very closely. And that's a big embarrassment on Federal Bureau of Prisons that Epstein was able to somehow allegedly, quote, unquote, kill himself. So will we see that with Ghislaine? I doubt it. But that's just my opinion. I respect everybody else's. A lot of my friends, a lot of my police friends are all putting memes up in the police chat rooms that how long is it going to take before she, quote unquote, kills herself. I don't see them making that mistake again. Nobody's going to fall asleep on her watch. So let's let these questions continue to roll.
in making the decision to charge, you reach back to an era in the mid-90s. Is there any physical evidence, or is it merely the word of the women, the unnamed victims that are mentioned in the court papers?
Again, I won't comment on beyond the scope of the indictment. You can read the indictment and see the kind of allegations we made, and therefore the evidence that we will bring forward to prove those you can kind of figure out. But I'm not going to comment on the specific evidence in the case. That will be seen in the event that she goes to trial.
Audrey, in the original indictment against Epstein, there were allegations from the 2000s. This predates that. Can you speak to why there's not overlap between those two?
That I cannot speak to. You just see one indictment covers one period and the other covers the other, and whatever is not said is not something I can speak to. It's beyond the four corners of the indictment.
Did the firing of Jeffrey Berman affect at all the timing of this arrest?
Not at all. Not at all.
Audrey, will your office be seeking to have Ms. Maxwell jailed before trial? And if so, will there be any particular arrangements made to ensure her safety?
We will be seeking detention, and we are sensitive to that concern, and certainly will be in dialogue with the Bureau of Prisons about it.
The perjury charges, do you think that will undermine her ability to use her testimony against co-conspirators, i.e. if she were willing to testify against others, doesn't that undermine that? What's your thinking on that?
This sometimes happens where there are perjury charges, and people can go on from there and become cooperators, if that's what you're asking. So I'm not concerned about that. In the event that she were to become a cooperator, I think that we can deal with that.
Audrey, can you try to tell us the location besides New Hampshire? That's it. Thank you, everyone. Has she been tracked to other locations besides?
Yeah, I'm not going to speak to that. We're not going to talk about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Again, so they were asking questions that she couldn't answer because, she has to have an extradition hearing, which I feel like they did that already. If they didn't do that yesterday, they're going to do it today. An extradition hearing is the process that enables the federal government to take her from New Hampshire and bring her to New York, to Manhattan. She may be very well housed in the same facility where Jeffrey Epstein was, the Manhattan Detention Center. Or she may be brought to Brooklyn, which is another federal correction facility. I've been at both of those facilities numerous times. Again, I respect everyone's opinion. However, I feel like, you know, there's not going to be a second oops, and we're not going to be reading about Ghislaine Maxwell committing suicide in her cell. Trust me, the Attorney General and everybody's watching this. The whole world is watching this. I'm just a sensible guy, and you know, a lot of you might not agree with me, but I still respect your opinions. And if you feel that, you know, this is a possibility, then that's your prerogative to feel that. But you know, being from the law enforcement side, I know that I know how agencies are reactive, and the Bureau of Prisons, the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Hi, Beth. Thank you for coming back. The Federal Bureau of Prisons is, you know, they have had a problem in the past with this, with not just Jeffrey Epstein, but with other prisoners. There's been systematic failures in the system. So they're going to do their best to make sure that there's not another oops. Hello, Urban Explorer from the UK. Great to see you. So, you know, again, you know, there's some people who would beg to differ with me, and that's all good and well. But let's get the next clip going. Let's get the next clip going. So this is from CBS 2 this morning. Let's hear what they have to say in regards.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. The woman accused of helping alleged sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein recruit and abuse underage girls is in jail this morning. FBI agents arrested Ghislaine Maxwell yesterday, nearly 1 year to the day after Epstein was arrested. She faces 6 charges, including illegally transporting minors and perjury. Epstein killed himself in a federal detention center in New York City last August while awaiting trial. And Mola Lenghi has been following the Epstein case for a long time now. Mola, good morning. It's been about 24 hours since this news broke of Ghislaine Maxwell's arrest. What are Epstein's accusers now saying about it?
Well, Tony, one woman I spoke with says the word that keeps coming up to describe this arrest is finally. You know, for years, Ghislaine Maxwell has denied allegations that she helped Jeffrey Epstein run his alleged sex trafficking operation from right here.
Yeah, right behind there is that famous picture of Prince Andrew waving to that woman ever so cutely with his hand, like giving the wave, like thank you for your services. He kind of there's a photo of him right back here, Prince Andrew. This is Jeffrey Epstein's old residence. For those of you who have never seen that picture, you can just Google Prince Andrew waving to a young lady, and it's a video of him opening the door as she's leaving early in the morning, and he gives her the wave like this, like one of those. Thank you for your services. You were so good to me last night. She looked to be an adult though, so but that video of after Epstein was brought up on all these charges, and it was part of the demise of Prince Andrew when it all came out that he was still hanging around Jeffrey Epstein after the Palm County sweet deal that he got. So that's the infamous door right there. So let's let the rest of this go.
His Manhattan mansion, among other places. And despite detailed allegations against Maxwell, she's never been charged until now.
The FBI took Ghislaine Maxwell into custody Thursday morning at this home in New Hampshire. The indictment alleges Maxwell helped Jeffrey Epstein recruit, groom.
So there's the indictment, and this indictment, in my eyes, and this is just my opinion, is weak. I mean, I would have liked to have seen actual sexual offenses on here, because it's alleged that Ghislaine took part in sexual activity with these young girls. So I think that coming forward, this is the tip of the iceberg, and I feel that she's going to be charged with actual sexual offenses, because she committed a sex act on a minor, on someone under 17, age 17. And she was also, and listen, if you're offended by this, hold your ears. If there's any ladies or gents out there, that are offended by this, you might want to hold your ears. But Ghislaine Maxwell, it's alleged that she actually taught and showed how to do fellatio on Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm saying it in a nicer term. She was showing these young girls how he liked it while they watched. And that's alleged. I mean, how sick is that? Where's the charges for that? And her having oral sex with one of these girls as well. That's also been alleged. So I would like to see those charges as well in the future as like an add-on or additional indictments. So, you know, this United States District Court indictment to me seems weak, and that's just in my opinion. But I guess it's just the tip of the iceberg. I don't think that they won't dot their I's and cross their T's.
And ultimately abuse underage girls. The youngest alleged victim was 14. Many of Epstein's accusers describe her as Epstein's chief lieutenant. Maria Farmer and Sarah Ransom spoke to CBS News in the last year.
Ghislaine was
Here's some of the
Jeffrey's
victims.
right hand. Ghislaine made it very clear that if we didn't do what he wanted, that we'd be punished.
I saw Ghislaine going to get the women. She went to places like Central Park. She would say, "Stop the car," and she would dash out and get a child.
The indictment claims Maxwell and Epstein would spend time building friendships with minor victims, taking them to the movies or shopping. Maxwell's presence, the documents claim, helped put the victims at ease during sexual interactions with Epstein because an adult woman was present.
It's definitely
That's disgusting. You know, even for me as a seasoned law enforcement vet to hear that. Yeah, Tani and Beth, those charges are forthcoming. There's no question. There's no question that they, based on these, are witnesses that will come forward and testify at a trial. The problem is it's going to be difficult to bring those charges forward unless these people that are making these statements, these are the victims. They're going to have to come forward and testify and give statements under oath. So let's see how that goes.
a win in our book.
Epstein accuser Michelle Licata believes even more Maxwell's presence.
Would say, "Stop the car," and she would dash out and get a child.
The indictment claims Maxwell and Epstein would spend time building friendships with minor victims, taking them to the movies or shopping. Maxwell's presence, the documents claim, helped put the victims at ease during sexual interactions with Epstein because an adult woman was present.
It's definitely a win in our book.
Epstein accuser Michelle Licata believes even more people deserve to be brought to justice.
You're saying there are still a lot of co-conspirators, a lot of people who helped this sex trafficking operation function. They're still out there.
Oh, definitely. You can't have two people just doing all the work. There has to be people helping them, people helping them.
Prosecutors say Maxwell's relationship with Epstein goes back decades, describing her as one of his closest associates.
What does closure look like to you in this case?
Closure for me is the Justice Department and the FBI. If they continue to go after the people that were associated with them, just knock them out and let them know that what they did, it was wrong. Sitting in a jail cell for the rest of their lives would maybe teach them that lesson.
Well, Maxwell has long denied any wrongdoing, and her lawyer said no comment regarding.
Of course she's going to deny it. Okay, so yes, I wasn't just, listen, I'm a realist when it comes to prosecution. I know what it takes to bring charges forward. The Southern District is the premier arm of law enforcement on the federal side. They get the highest amount of convictions on the charges that they bring forward. Look it up if you don't believe me. Look up the Southern District of New York. You're welcome, Mary London. Thank you. They have the highest success rate in federal prosecutions. They have like a 96 or 97% conviction rate on the charges that they bring forward. And every attorney, no matter how good they are, knows this to be true. So nobody's going to F with the Southern District when they bring the charges forward. But at the same time, they're not going to bring charges forward that they don't think they can get a conviction on, because it's useless to a prosecutor to charge the highest charge and have the risk that a jury is going to say, well, we found beyond a reasonable doubt that this person is not guilty. So just understand that when you guys get involved in the, I like to call it angry conversation of this one and this one should be charged with first-degree murder, and this one should be charged with the highest degrees. It's easier said than done. And the sooner we look into that and research it, the better you'll understand it, and the less frustrated you'll get. Because in the criminal justice system, it's not just an open and shut case. You need to be able to present facts, and you need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And the burden is on the prosecution. It's not on the defense. It's on the prosecution. So, that being said, it doesn't mean that charges, additional sexual offenses will not be brought forward. And like someone mentioned, these are the earlier 1994 to 1997 allegations. There's a ton of allegations that go up until, I believe, 2015, 2016-ish. So, I've checked out every bit of news, but I really like to go with verifiable stuff that I research through my law enforcement contacts and my law enforcement sources, rather than to rely on Sky News and things of that nature. But thank you, Tani. I'll look at it. And if anybody hasn't watched the Netflix Epstein documentary, I encourage you to go over and watch that. It's really a chock full of really good information. It's disgusting, but it really gives you a full overview on all of the enormity of the books that were kept with hundreds of girls' names and about their pedigree. And this one's too, like when a girl would reach age 19, he would basically just discard them and say, hey, go out and find me some of your younger friends and bring them here, and I'll give you $300. I mean, it's sickening what Epstein did. Really sickening. So let's take a peek at this one.
Arrest of the one-time girlfriend of child sex abuser Jeffrey Epstein nearly a year after he died by suicide in jail. Socialite Ghislaine Maxwell is accused of not only helping Epstein recruit girls as young as 14 years old for sex, but also joining in on the sex abuse herself. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Dienst broke the news of this arrest, and Jonathan.
So that's what I'm talking about. She was also alleged to have engaged in the sexual offenses herself. And that's a fact. I'll put it back so you can hear it.
Years old for sex, but also joining in on the sex abuse herself. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Dienst broke the news of this arrest. And Jonathan, you're joining us now with the latest.
Yeah, tonight the millionaire socialite Maxwell is sitting in a New Hampshire jail cell waiting to be sent to New York on the child sex-related counts. This is some alleged victims tonight expressing relief. She has finally been arrested. It was on this sprawling 150-acre New Hampshire estate where FBI agents slapped the cuffs on Ghislaine Maxwell. We spoke with one of Epstein's victims, still angry over his suicide, that he never faced trial for allegedly raping her when she was just 15.
I feel like she knows so much that he also knew. So this is a way for us to, get our justice.
Ghislaine Maxwell faced a federal judge in New Hampshire on the child sex charges. Maxwell ordered to New York, where she could wind up awaiting trial here in the MCC, in the same jail where Epstein, her one-time boyfriend, killed himself. Maxwell indicted today on 6 counts, allegedly helping traffic 3 girls, one just 14, for sex with Epstein.
In some cases, Maxwell participated in the abuse herself.
The FBI says they were following Maxwell, concerned she might use her $20 million and 3 passports to try to get away.
More recently, we learned she had slithered away to a gorgeous property in New Hampshire, continuing to live a life of privilege while her victims live with the trauma inflicted upon them years ago.
The FBI calling her a villain who helped Epstein abuse girls at his Upper East Side townhouse, Florida estate, and New Mexico ranch.
Made a statement, thank you.
Maxwell has always maintained her innocence. Reaction outside the infamous townhouse.
It's just the slimiest. She came from
Side townhouse, Florida estate, and New Mexico ranch.
Made a statement, thank you.
Maxwell has always maintained her innocence. Reaction outside the infamous townhouse.
It's just
ranch.
Made a statement, thank you.
Maxwell has always maintained her innocence.
All right, so yeah, there's so many layers to this. There's so many layers to this case. It's just despicable on all fronts. But the common denominator is the mind screwing and the manipulation of underage minors, children, some as young as 14 years old. And to be willingly participating in that type of behavior, and all the people who were employed by Epstein, those are all people who should be held accountable for not seeing something and saying something. So I'd like to mention that as well. There's the other element of all of his friends that he intermingled with, the high-profile, rich and wealthy and famous, the politicians, the Bill Clinton 26 times on the Lolita Express, possibly our President POTUS, and many other politicians that we could sit and look at a long, dirty laundry list. This is something that can take 5 hours to do the proper live stream on it. So by no means am I saying that this is a full overview of the case, but this is what's next. She's going to get extradited from New Hampshire back to New York. It may be in Manhattan. It may be in Brooklyn. They may go to the Brooklyn Federal Detention Facility, which is a more modern, more it's got more capabilities for monitoring. And I've been in both facilities. The Manhattan one is run down and decrepit. The Brooklyn one is like a Hilton of federal prisons. It's really nice. It's clean. I almost hope she doesn't go to the Brooklyn one. I would like her to go to Manhattan, where Epstein went, because that is a real shithole. It's a really nasty place. But let's let the rest of this roll, and then I'll wrap it up.
Reaction outside the infamous townhouse.
It's just the slimiest. She came from great wealth, and this is what she does.
Maxwell is the daughter of a famous British publisher, a socialite who knows President Trump and Clinton. Prince Andrew is accused by one woman of wrongdoing at Epstein properties, allegations he denies. As for Maxwell, she has denied wrongdoing under oath in a civil suit, which is why prosecutors say she is also charged with perjury. And Maxwell could be at the MCC jail by early next week for a still-to-be-scheduled court hearing where she's expected to plead not guilty. In the newsroom, Jonathan Deanston, News.
All right, so that's that. Let's see. I got one more thing I want to show you guys. Hello to everyone joining. Guys, if you're not following me on all social media, all one word, DutyRon, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, please follow me right here at DutyRon. I have a YouTube video share group on Facebook. I have a police and crime chat group, and I also do have a Discord group. So if you'd like to go into my Discord group and check that out, it's a chock full of information. Let's take a peek at this real quick.
Maxwell, the alleged accomplice of accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, is behind bars after federal agents closed in on a secluded New Hampshire farmhouse and arrested her. Maxwell is charged with 6 counts, including illegally transporting minors and perjury. CBS's Mola Langhi reports.
Tonight, the woman authorities have spent more than a year looking for is in custody. At 8:30 this morning, federal agents zeroed in on this New Hampshire house where they arrested Ghislaine Maxwell.
She had slithered away.
Spent more than a year looking for is in custody. At 8:30 this morning, federal agents zeroed in on this New Hampshire house.
Take a look at that house. Wow. It's so secluded in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it looks like they cut all the brush and the trees back to build this property, and it's got it looks like probably a maid's quarters over here, a second house for guests. Like the rich and famous have these guest house here to the left. This is probably the maid's quarters, or maybe the small little area here. So she was hiding out. But why come to the U.S. where you're wanted? I don't understand that. I think she got pressure in the U.K. because there was a lot of reports all over the U.K. News and papers that she's been cited out and about, and maybe she felt like the British authorities were going to hold her for the American, for the feds. I don't know, man. I scratch my head and I think, like, why the F would she come here, of all places? And you go to the Northeast, so close to where Manhattan is. I mean, New Hampshire is not too far away from New York, right? Why not go to the West Coast or go up to, I don't know. Who knows? And how did she get here? So she took a private jet, probably a chartered jet, and maybe that pilot tipped off the FBI. Hey, I landed at Teterboro with the package, with Ghislaine. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that none of us will know or hear about unless it goes to trial. So she had to get here by private jet. She didn't take a commercial airline. You know, she's a millionaire or whatever, close to a billionaire. She's worth a lot of money. She had to have come here under the guise of Farmwall, of thinking that the heat was on over there, because there's no good reason to come here unless she was scared and paranoid over there. But criminals do stupid things, and she's a criminal. Don't think anything other than she is a pedophile, criminal, sexual deviant. She's the worst of the worst, and she's a millionaire. Those are some of the worst criminals in the world, because they feel like they can get away with it. They could buy their way out of anything. They could buy anybody. They can manipulate and control people. They went after the most vulnerable people, young girls who were living in poverty and had nothing going on in their lives. And they promised them the world. Hey, I'm going to give you an education. I'm going to put you in modeling school. All right, listen, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap it up, because I'm now starting to ramble.
Where they arrested Ghislaine Maxwell.
She had slithered away to a gorgeous property in New Hampshire, continuing to live a life of privilege while her victims live with the trauma inflicted upon them years ago.
Over the past year, there were unconfirmed reports she was in Brazil, even spotted at an In-N-Out burger in California.
Maxwell played a critical role in helping Epstein to identify, befriend, and groom minor victims for abuse. In some cases, Maxwell participated in the abuse herself.
Prosecutors allege Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend turned confidant.
Trust me when I say this, nobody wants her in any country. She's, she claims to have her home there. And I think there was reports that she had dual citizenship. I don't know. I don't care. But all I know is that she's in custody, and I'm happy about that. So, yes. So if you're new, first time in the broadcast, let me know where you're watching from, city, state, or country, so I could give you a quick shout out. This is an infamous picture of her at a party. Oh, and I want to show you something, guys. I want to show you something. I wish I can get this up on my, I could get it up on my computer, but I'm going to show it to you on my phone. One of my Facebook friends from Aruba, sent me this picture, and I hope it comes across good. Let's see how good this comes across. It's a picture of course, now I can't find it, right? It's a picture of her at, okay, here it is. Here it is. So it's a picture of her at Bill Clinton's daughter's wedding, at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Can you guys see that? Let me make it big screen. Hold on, let me go to the, here we go. So that's Bill Clinton and his daughter. Come on, focus, bastard. Anyways, I'll get it up, and I'll get this up on my community post tab, and I'll put it up. But it's a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell watching over Chelsea Clinton. Let me see if I can get that. I can get that. DutyRon can do this. Give me a second. Let me get this up for you guys because I need you to see this in clear. Let's do this, man. Let's do this. Chelsea Clinton's wedding, Ghislaine Maxwell was invited to. How about them apples? Hold on. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Here it is. Yay. All right. Ready? There it is. So this is the picture of Maxwell at Chelsea Clinton, and that's Bill Clinton right there, walking his daughter down the aisle, and a sexual predator is watching. That's not Photoshop, folks. I actually verified this picture. So that's how close Bill Clinton was with Epstein and Ghislaine, because I'm sure that this woman provided this man with young girls for sexual deviant behavior. Why isn't he brought in? Why? 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 All right, guys. I'll end it with that. Guys, a lot of love and respect from New York City. I'll bring you further updates. Look for her extradition back to New York. I hope she's in the MCC where Epstein allegedly killed himself. I hope she's brought to a dirty, filthy place with cockroaches and water bugs crawling all over her at night, shitty food, bad sleeping conditions. Incidentally, I saw a picture of the inside of Jeffrey Epstein's cell, and it was quite a dirty, filthy place. And I'm glad that his last moments of his life were in misery and horror. There was a CPAP machine in there. The feds provided Epstein with, because he had, I guess he had obstructed breathing. He had to use a CPAP machine, because I saw a CPAP machine on the floor with the hose and all that stuff. So he was provided with a CPAP for sleep apnea. So yeah, I hope she goes to the MCC where it's a filthy, dirty place. So guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming in on the live stream. Wow, guys. I'm going to end it on that. I'm going to end it on there. I'll end the video on this. Yeah, Epstein had sleep apnea. Okay, guys. Love and respect from New York City, from DutyRon. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on my next live. I was told from people in the UK, one set of two fingers up means F you. So I'm going to end it with both my fingers up. Actually, I can't, because I can't end it. I have to hit the thing. So thank you to everyone for coming. Thanks for the super chats. Thank you for the channel memberships. Thanks.